Alright, class. Sergio Silva Jr. here. I am doing week four's video for option one. Uh, super, super heavy topic. Suicide, suicide prevention. Some, some really kind of dark statistics coming out in the study that we were assigned particularly for this option one. And one that I feel like a lot of us clinicians and future clinicians and training clinicians are familiar with. And so suicide is a leading cause of death in this country, and firearms is such a massive topic of conversation right now in politics and so many household homes, and it's involved in over half of these cases, and so it is non-negotiably an issue. And law enforcement is deemed to be in particular risk because of their high stress in their jobs and their absolute need to be in constant and sometimes randomly activated fight or flight. It's really interesting to put a little bit of just my own personal perspective and putting the study on the side here. I work at an equine healing collaborative doing equine assisted psychotherapy, and I've led and co-facilitated a lot of retreats for um, for law enforcement and for first responders in general. So a lot of firefighters and kind of the my local jail unit, the programs group, and I've also done the sheriff's department. And to watch the different microcultures there and the connection to and the conceptualization of mental health, it has been fascinating, and it really rings the stereotypes so true. And when I did the sheriff's department retreat, there was about 13 of them, and you can really see this almost like a joking manner to the approach to the retreat. Everyone got dressed up in cowboy boots and cowboy hats that they just bought the week before, and there was a lot of banter, and seldom were people kind of going into their real into their real stresses and their real emotional stressors, and until a topic like suicidal ideation would come up, and one of the facilitators or one of the therapists would kind of bring up suicide and that particular sliver of mental health. And that seemed to be one of the only times that you would notice a seriousness kind of take the group over, and a different element of presence and intention take the group over, and that was something that couldn't be denied or brushed under the rug, if you will. So it is a stigma, and it is, from those moments I saw so much that it is something that that particular demographic, at least a lot of that demographic is, or population, is not comfortable talking about for so many reasons. And the repercussions that the article that I'll reference that was assigned to us talks a lot about, and some of that is losing their firearms. More importantly, I would say it's losing their jobs, or being, even if neither of those happen, or they happen temporarily with suspension, or whatever the case is, or further investigation, they might feel that they have a label slapped onto them that they will have a really difficult time washing off. And these are some of these perspectives, or these ideas are of course coming from the reference that I mentioned before that I'll be posting, but a lot of these are testimonials from that retreat that I just led. And so the article talks about a really cool like a temporary firearm storage as a preventative measure whenever there is some sort of mental health issue. It just seems like um, it's not being very utilized, and it's not that widespread in that many different departments, is what I gathered. It's essentially, there's certain agencies in Mountain West that kind of provide this temporary storage, but the officers have to kind of voluntarily give up their firearms in a mental health crisis, but that still kind of opens up that door to have a title slapped upon you. And if there is stigma from your higher ups, there is there's so much that can seep into authoritative decisions there, not giving promotions and things like that. I don't want to go so far as to say that corruption would start happening, but I suppose by definition, I think that that's the fear. At least I'm in no position to say whether it would happen or not, but I do understand that that is the fear in the culture. And let's see, there the article really kind of pushes what we were mentioning before, this kind of political drive for systemic change, not just merely in gun control, but for the narrative and the stigma, and to make it more normalized. We are all humans in such an incredibly complex world, and that there are going to be traumas and tribulations that happen that we all react differently to. And for the amount of people that culturally we require in law enforcement, it's an impossibility to only get the 0% of people that won't be affected by mental health issues. That even if it was a very small amount of people that we needed for that, it's still unrealistic, and that's not even the case. We need so many people, um, to fulfill our cultural or our systemic needs for law enforcement, and so this needs to be normalized, and there needs to be stigma-free support for officers. And this article and Mountain West seems like they're kind of really pushing this, and it really is such a delight to see. And to bring back a little bit of the retreats that I was talking about, I did see a lot of those kind of negative stereotypes in the sheriff's department itself, but when it did come for the jail related departments, the programs departments, and firefighters and all of that stuff, it really was such, as a citizen of my community and just of this world and of this country, I felt such a big breath of fresh air, and I felt so alleviated to witness such an incredibly progressive change in the jail system. Their entire team, it was 15 of them, their entire team came in, and they were vulnerable, and they had such incredible progressive ideas, and they were all on the ground in the jail system trying to open up this conversation of mental illness, and particularly suicidal ideation within the department. That is not even, there's on of course they're dealing with that inevitably with their client unit, with their incarcerated persons, their IPs, but particularly within their cohort. All right, I hope I covered everything there. I do recognize that I put a little more of kind of my personal experience, but I just did these retreats the last few months, and so they're really, really fresh on my mind, and it seems very relevant. So I hope that was okay. Cheers.